Hello guys, it's been heavily requested and many of you actually asked me to do a comparison between these two. So this is a DT94 and DT93. It would have been a bit more logically correct to compare DT94 to Call Me P8 Plus because they look very much the same. However, the request was for these two versions. So we're going to talk about these two versions today. So as you can see, both of these watches do come in a white plain box like that. There's nothing to be shout about, you know, it's just plain box, and as you can see, it's been bashed about whilst it's been transported from China. What you'll find inside of the box is very similar as well, so you'll find the watches themselves. You also find a user manual both in English and Chinese. You also find a magnetic charging cables. The only difference is DT94 has a 2-pin magnetic charger, DT93 has a 4-pin magnetic charger, because you can transfer information onto the watch, because there isn't an internal memory on this watch as well. We'll begin with the price. So DT93 is $33 with free shipping from Aliexpress. DT94, however, costs only $24 with free shipping. So there is a $10 difference, and for some people that can be a massive difference whilst they're thinking of purchasing these or the other model, for instance. So then if we look at the screens got exactly the same dimension, which is 1.78 inches across, but the resolution differs. The resolution on DT94 is 320 pixels by 385 pixels, whereas on DT93 it's a lot denser, which is 420 pixels by 485. So you can see there's a hefty difference between this and this model here. These are both LCD matrix, so no AMOLED in here. It's actually very rare that you find AMOLED matrix in sort of smaller Chinese companies. The processors in these watches are exactly the same, which is a Realtek 8762CK, so exactly the same processor in that model and in that model. The battery inside of the DT94 is 200 milliamp battery, which should last you about 7 working days. So DT93, however, has a larger battery, which is 230 milliamp battery, which should last you about 7 to 10 working days. That's provided that you're not going to be using these watches for a constant phone call. So for instance, if you're going to be using this option and you're going to be ringing people, the chances are your batteries will run out in just about 5 or 6 hours of continuous use for the phone calls for that particular option. But if you're going to use them as a fitness tracker or sport watches, you know, they will last for a good week or so. Bluetooth wise, DT94 has an older version, which is a Bluetooth 4.0. However, the DT93 has a newer version, which is Bluetooth 5.0. But that's not to say that both watches, they don't keep a good connection. They actually do. Both watches stay well connected to your phone throughout the use. They both come with a water resistant rating, which is IP67. I both tested them in the shower, so a splashing water or an accidental spill of water wouldn't make any damage whatsoever. The software, the apps that these watches use differ as well. So the DT94 uses an app called Wear Pro. And if you want to see a more in-depth review or video, just go into my YouTube channel info and find the playlist, and you'll find both of the reviews for each and every model of these watches. So you can actually go and see a deeper review of all the options and everything else. And then DT93 uses an app called FitCloud Pro, and it's an ancient app and it's been out forever. So it's a very reliable old school app. The amount of watch faces that you can download extra onto these watches is 30 plus for each of those. So what I want to talk about now is the differences. So as you can see, if you're going to be using each watch individually, you're not going to tell much of a difference screen-wise. But when you compare them together and you compare them very closely to the camera, you will see that DT94, which is on my left, is good. That's just it's a bit grainier, so the screen just looks a little bit grainier than the DT93. I mean, if you're going to be using them separately, you're not going to notice that. It's going to be just fine. So in a couple of words, DT94, which is this one, is easier to connect, it's easier to use. It might not be as rich in options as DT93, but I've just found it a bit nicer to use and just quicker to set up, and it's just easier to live with. So the major difference between the two would be the price. So DT93 costs $10 US more than DT94. The quality of the microphone, which I will demonstrate later on DT93, is just that a little bit clearer, a little bit better. Not to say that you can't use DT94 for phone conversation either, but none of them they come any close. They don't even come close to Apple products. So therefore, if you really need a watch to have a long quality conversations with important people, then none of these two will cut it. You're just gonna have to invest in a good watch over the time. So for a quick chat, maybe you're running back from school, maybe you went to pick up a grocery or whatever, and you just need to have a quick few words, these will do. Both of these will do just fine. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, DT93 has internal memory, meaning that you can transfer some music, and when playing MP3 tracks from your music player, you can choose which one you would like to control. So for instance, I'll show you now. You can click those three dots just there, and you can choose between where the music will be controlled. So you can control music either from your watch directly, or you can control music from your phone, so using your watch basically as a remote control. But I don't really see much of a point to have an internal memory for your music on DT93, because you can't actually connect the earbuds directly to the watches, which would have been ideal, because then what you could do, you could transfer some music onto DT93, you can leave your phone at home, you can plug your earbuds, and let's say for instance go for a jog, go for a run, and listen to the music that way. But unfortunately there is no option to connect earbuds to your watches directly. You have to use phone anyway, so the whole point of having internal memory on DT93 just blows out of the window, so there is no much point of it. There is no internal memory on DT94 however, but honestly it doesn't really make much of a difference.
Right guys, this is the DT94. The straight up difference, as you can see, whilst you're having a conversation on the screen, there's actually a little scroll bar which allows you to control the volume of the speaker of the watch. So you see there's a difference between DT94 and DT93, and that's how the voice and the sound to whoever you're talking to. Once again, I'm in a quiet environment and the watch is about 15 centimeters away from my face, so that's what you can expect. So you decide for yourself whether this is a good quality or not. There we go guys, this is a DT93, the watch is about probably 15 centimeters away from my face, on my wrist, and I'm in a very quiet environment, so this is how your voice will be sound to whoever you're talking to basically. So that's the quality of the sound you can expect, and it's up to you to decide whether that's any good to you or not.
So to summarize today's video, what I'd like to say is, when it comes to choosing between two, really the things you're going to be looking at would be a price point. So for instance, if you don't have $33 US to spend, but you still won't buy DT sort of watches, then probably DT94 is your best bet. I personally prefer the fact that DT94 comes with the 4 separate menus, so you can choose between the different menus, whereas in DT93 you're stuck with 2, and not to say that that's not enough, but just you've given that extra options on DT94. And all in all, I don't think they actually that much, they don't really differ that much. I mean, it's very similar watches in all aspects. It's just like I said, the phone quality, like when you ring someone through the watch on DT93, is just a little bit clearer, it's just a little bit sharper. But all in all, after all, it's up to you. You can choose. I personally never felt a need to actually ring anyone using my watch. It's just I never felt that way. I can always pull out the phone from my pocket and I can actually make a phone call on the phone, as we all got used to. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful in some way, especially for those who were trying to choose between these two particular models. If you still got any questions, don't hesitate. I'll do my best to answer them. Leave them down in the comments below, and yeah, I hope it will be fine. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.